Hello and welcome to the Bentley Report. My name is Gary Peer.
I'm Leon Guzenfitter.
And here we are. It's May already, Leon. Who would have thought?
It's happened quickly. We haven't seen each other for a couple of months.
We haven't much, and we've got to be careful how close we stand to each other in these new rules and regulations. I think we're okay. I think we're pretty safe.
Just there.
Arm's length, but plenty going on. I mean, things have changed a lot. We can't have auctions anymore. We can't have public open for inspections. And there was a time, of course, we couldn't even have private open for inspections.
Yeah, over that Easter weekend.
Over that Easter weekend. And in fact, on the our other sister show, the GPTV, we've interviewed Leah Calnan, who's the president of the REV, even spoken to her about that time, because that was a very interesting period of time, where that was sort of lobbied hard to get chucked out. That really was ridiculous, really. I mean,
I think so.
Well, I think we're doing everything we can. You know, we're keeping safe distancing, we're sanitising, and we're being
Don't go far without one of these.
No way. We're being very careful in terms of how we let people through and how many at a time.
Sure.
And so, we can't touch anything. So I think we're doing all we can. And it looks and feels like this COVID thing's on the way out. We hope so. I mean, who knows?
Very lucky.
We don't know. We're far from being scientists or doctors, but the numbers look pretty good or promising anyway. But people didn't tune in for that. They want to know what's going on in the world of real estate, particularly in Bentley, East Bentley, Ormond, McKinnon, perhaps a little bit of East Brighton, because I think you're the East Brighton agent. Didn't you get some award recently?
I feel like you raise it every time, but yes, I sold the most properties in East Brighton last year.
There you go.
And Rate My Agent rated me as the #1 East Brighton agent, which I'm very happy to have, because I love that part of the world. I know a lot of people in that part of the world, and a lot of buyers like to buy in that part of the world, so it's a great part of the world to operate in.
It's always been good for us, that suburb of East Brighton. It's where all of our offices migrate, but you seem to have taken the bull by the horns and doing the bulk of the business there at the moment, which is wonderful. And of course, if we launch straight into it, I mean, we had a very interesting sale there. Let's not muck around, in Beddoe Avenue.
Sure.
How many people inquired about that? The second it went online, just went bang.
I think we had almost 40 private inspections in the. Well, it was on the market for 8 days. So we were quite busy there, sort of backing up a couple, and as that listing came on, it was still when we were figuring out how to get people through. Can we get 2 people through at once? But basically, you know, we spent a lot of hours there to get about 40 private opens through, including a few repeats, and sold it very quickly, which is what the owner wanted.
Now, I'm just going to say something here. I'm going to do a little boast on your behalf. A good real estate agent knows who's buying, who's serious, and who's ready in the market. And when that listing came in, the actual person that bought it was somebody who you approached. Was it the first person you approached?
So when you told us it came in,
even before, I told him I'm working on this listing.
We knew who the buyer would be.
I knew who.
Well, I knew someone that would be very suitable at a fair price, and she was the first person that went through, and she was the first person that was told about it, and she was the buyer.
So there was 39 people there to sort of take on that particular
And the second person that I thought of for that listing, had we got another one next door, would have bought it as well, probably at a very similar price. So if you've got another home on a big block of land in that pocket of East Brighton, I've got a few buyers in my pocket waiting to come and see you.
Absolutely. So, and that's been really interesting. You know, we talk about that because I think one of the reasons why our business has, I wouldn't say thrived, but got through well compared to many other businesses, is because we know who our buyers are, we work closely with them, we take them by the hand, we show them properties across all of our offices, which is one of the beautiful things about the difference of how we're structured and set up. And certainly that's been working really well for us. I'm just going to sneak over here and have a little bit of look about this, because do you know all these properties? I don't. 5 Delhi Street, Bentley, that was property that was undisclosed, as is Beddoe, but it was sold. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, just like Beddoe, we actually sold it above our quoted price. So just to give you an idea of what's happening with prices, some people think they're just all falling through the bottom. It's not the case. Some people have, adjusted their expectations marginally, and that's fine. But this was another situation where we end up having a quite a quick sale. I mean, from going online to having a contract in writing that was accepted, we were only online for about 5 days. We'd been off our database for the week before, so we felt the vendor had enough sample size of the right buyers to see the home. They didn't need to wait the normal 4-week program. And when we were able to negotiate an offer in excess of the quoted range, the owner said, well, we don't have to wait to see if there's another buyer potentially going to come as a result with the situation the way it was. And a happy buyer, happy seller. And that's one thing that this market has done, Gary. Some campaigns are really short. So if you are a buyer, don't wait a couple of weeks to see it, because it could go well before the advertised auction date.
That's actually very good advice, true, because certainly to fall into that lull of security that I've got till auction, that's really not what's going on right now. I think people are keen to do business, the vendors are keen to transact. They don't need to wait for the virtual auction, and at the moment that's all we can run is a virtual auction.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what's going on out there in terms of people, some making moves very quickly, as you're rightly saying. And I think for buyers, the number one advice we can give you, get your finance organised, get organised to be able to make the commitment, because the opportunities are coming and going very quickly for the best properties at the moment.
And a vendor, I think we've seen it, Gary, a vendor potentially would take a marginally less offer that's not conditional upon finance and a whole bunch of other things, with the certainty of knowing once the deal is done, and not that you can shake hands anymore, but when the deal is done, there's a handshake agreement and there's a piece of paper signed, that it's done for both sides. And another thing I've noticed, Gary, is in this last 6 or 8 weeks under these new conditions, whoever goes first 9 out of 10 times is the buyer.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, if they come and put an offer in writing that's acceptable to the vendor and there's no funny conditions, they step up first, that's the buyer that's doing 9 out of 10 of the purchases, because someone might want another day to get their lawyer to check the docs, or they might want to get their finance rechecked, and the vendors are taking the bird in the hand and not waiting for the possibility that it could be better. They're taking the certainty. So
roll up, get your finance ready, and make that commitment to put you in the box.
We can refer you to some good people if you haven't got it worked out already.
Absolutely. 18 Cross Street in Brighton. That was an interesting property, Leon. Went well, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. And look, a campaign I handled myself with Igor, was very involved in it. We had, I think, 28 private opens over a 3-week period, and that whole campaign was run over the whole COVID thing. So there was no public opens, no nothing. Everything was done. And what we would do is we would have an open for inspection, and whoever, because people are at home more now, they're more available than usual. So we'll just sort of put someone 15 minutes later, and someone on a Wednesday might make an appointment for a Saturday, and then we work around that time. And by the end of it, we have a 2-hour window because we've got 8 or 9 appointments. So that was the situation in Cross Street. Interestingly, we had 4 people willing to put pen to paper in the very last part of the transaction. Process, we did sell it before the auction, and they were all within 3% of the selling price, and the price we got was right at the top end of our price guide, which interestingly we set on the 29th of February, which is a Saturday when we listed the property, and that was probably the highest point of the new boom that we were about to experience. So I guess a lack of supply and a unique property like this still shows that prices hold strong. And dare I say, if we had 3 more of them, I'd have 3 more people that are willing to step up at a similar price. So that was a great result.
10 Murray Street sold for $1,705,000. That was a very competitive auction.
That was a bit more good old days when we could have a big crowd. I think you did the auction, Gary. I think we had 4 bidders. The vendors were very, very keen to get 1,550. We ticked over to 1,705 with really strong competition. I think it settles in a couple of days, so it's happened pretty quick. You know, we've got a few other buyers to move around from there as well. So there are still people who've missed out, finance ready to go, that want to buy if we have the offerings. Simon
Rodolnik was the auctioneer for that one. He did a great job.
Oh, Simon was.
Yes,
you are right.
Exactly right.
Yes.
2 at 71 Hodder Street, another property in East Brighton. Feels like the East Brighton report this week. Jared Martin listed and sold that one.
Yeah, Jared ran a great campaign there, filled the auction. We had 3 bidders. Put on the market and sold. That was on the 14th of March. That was probably the first, that was the second last weekend we could do auctions. And that was probably the first test of how's the market going to react, because things were really changing that week, and still had 3 bidders and got it sold very well.
So it's been a month now of non-auctioning, hasn't it?
So the last auctions we had was when we bought them in-house, if you recall.
That's right.
And that was on the 24th, I think, of March. So we're a good 5 weeks after that now.
Just over a month.
And not being too much an optimist, Gary, because I'm a bit of an optimist.
Why not?
I hope that by the time we're doing the GP report covering May for June, maybe we'll be able to do them again.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
We've heard from Western Australia, that's what they're flagging. So fingers crossed things stay good, and we can talk about doing some open air auctions again.
Having said that, there's nothing to stop people buying and selling without it, and we're doing that really effectively as well, which is great. Lebrano Street, Brighton East, we'll finish with that one. That one was sold for $1,590,000.
Yeah, and again, another case of sometimes if the auction doesn't bring that was again the same weekend. It was an hour after the Hodder Street auction. We had a decent crowd there. No one decided to put their hand up, and we had an asking price of $1,595,000 after that auction. No one bid at $1,550,000, and sure enough, by Wednesday night it was cleaned up at pretty much the full asking price, 1,590. Another strong East Brighton result.
For those that want to know what 450,000 approximately gets you as well, there's a sale in Derry Street, Bentley East, which Simon Rodolnik auctioned, and that was also a
little two better there with a little courtyard just off Centre Road in Bentley East behind the medical centre there.
Good value. That's a little bit about the sales that have happened. Let's talk about some of the offerings. We're not going to go through all of them because we would be on your screens for way too long. But I know that we've got coming up, I should say, property in Cheltenham, Barker Street, Cheltenham. Sounds like good value there.
Yeah.
In that sort of 6 to 650 range.
Really good unit, rear of only 4.
Yep.
It's been renovated probably about 10 years ago, so it's still in excellent condition. It's got a really nice wraparound courtyard behind it. I know Ben Azen has been busy showing people through there. We've probably had 25 people there through in about 2.5 weeks. So still a lot of demand, and I think really excellent value if you're a first home buyer or a downsizer to get a nice single level unit with a good outdoor area for around that 6 to 650 mark. I think it might be closer to the 650 mark based on the interest. I think it's one to have a look at, 4 at 3 Barker Street.
We had a very good auction a little bit earlier on in the year, just I think it was in February actually, maybe just the start of March, in Mentone Parade. Also a lot of bigger single level villa went well. Hill Street, well, we haven't got the Hill Street Blues because we're getting very busy there. We've got a couple of properties to talk about there. Take us through them.
Well, we've got 2 at 51 Hill Street that's on the market now. It's the 4th one in that development that we've put to the market. So we've sold numbers 1, 3 and 4
moving
in
our
the
way
last
through
3 months. And again, this property presents almost as new. It's about 5.5 years old. In fact, some people have asked us if it's brand new or just been completed. So it's in excellent condition. Again, very good buying in that mid to high 6s. That's where they've all sold. In fact, the front one's tipped over 700. So I think if you can buy it in the mid 6s, if you're looking for a modern 2-story, 2-bed, 2-bath townhouse, so good for an investor because investors do like to have that option of the second bathroom if they get 2 tenants living there, they're not related. That might be a good investment. Not on the main road, very low body corporate fees, so a potentially really good investment or first home. And the other one, we have a great development, 33 to 35 Hill Street, that Julian is dealing with from our off the plan part of the business. So if you are looking to buy something off the plan, and it's maybe something you can buy into today with a view to move in the next year or 2, if you don't need to actually move in today, this is something else to look at. And I know he's been kept very busy with inquiry about that development. So,
and for those that are looking at either developing off the plan or buying an off the plan property, Julian, a great man to talk to. He's got properties all over Melbourne, and some of the best offerings that are situated with him as well. He's very select. He doesn't take on stuff that he doesn't think is good and well built and quality and reasonably priced. So if you're looking to buy off the plan, speak to Julian Millman.
Does a great job.
Sells right across.
His messages come out. He's sold this. He's sold this. He sold something in North Melbourne. Didn't know we do much in North Melbourne,
no,
but
there you go.
He's selling plenty of them off the plan.
He's selling it everywhere. And to wrap up, we've got another property in Elizabeth Street in Brighton East. Now this is a fantastic property on a great block of land with a swimming pool and a very pretty looking home, English or Tudor style. We're excited about this one. Is still available, 26 Elizabeth Street. Hopefully by the time you tune in, if you're interested, it hasn't been sold. So make sure you get down, check that out, speak to Leon and the boys about that one because that is a very, very exciting opportunity for somebody.
Probably the top 2 or 3 streets in East Brighton, you would say, Gary. Certainly in that pocket near Lancaster Park.
No question about it, Leon. I made a big mess here on the desk, but there's lots going on. And one thing that's not messy, that is the real estate market. There is still buyers, there is sellers, there is opportunity out there. So if you're looking to trade, looking to do something, whether it's in Bentley or in McKinnon or Ormond or East Brighton, or if you're one of Leon's clients, he sells all over Melbourne, so it doesn't really matter where it is. Just be in touch with Leon or his team from the Bentley office who are looking forward to servicing your needs. Now, Centre Road, have we got much going on there? We've got takeaway restaurants there, cafes still going.
Yeah, you could still, you just do it differently. We're not all coming in and getting everything at once and sitting down, but you have a little trickle of a bit of a line outside 5th chapter and they'll pour you a great coffee and give you a takeaway meal. And look, I just think we're just adjusting. I think we've adjusted so well, and I think that we often go around telling people that we live in the best city, the best country in the world. Well, this is another situation where I think that's been absolutely proven right again. So, for this to happen, I think 99.9% of the world will change places with us.
100%.
And to be working and living in suburbs like Bentley and Caulfield and Brighton, really still do have the very best that's available to us. So,
no doubt about it.
Definitely looking at it as a glass half full rather than, what's happening elsewhere in the world. It's very scary.
No doubt, no question about it. If you want to be anywhere in the COVID crisis, you want to be right here in Melbourne, Australia. We're very, very lucky in terms of how we're dealing with it, and we're lucky to have this wonderful city with so many wonderful people and innovation. And
more of the world will want to come, Gary. I think that, once hopefully this settles down.
Oh, they want to come, that's for sure. The question is how many people can we take in, That's the question right now. But certainly this is a wonderful place to be. It's a challenging time, but we'll get through it all together, no doubt. And we'll look forward to bringing you the real estate news on the Bentley Report every month or so. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Leon Guzenfitter.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.